Starting off at Ashton Gate, and where despite Bristol City dominating for a majority of the game and having the better stats, Cardiff City got that all-important goal and ended up winning the game 1-0. Obviously, from a Cardiff perspective, it's good, keeps them in that mid-table. Bristol City, they need to start stringing some wins together. Obviously, they are pretty safe under Liam Manning. But yeah, some weeks they're just very good, and then others, like yesterday, they're just not up to it. I said they need to improve their consistency for next season. So they were in control for a lot of it, just couldn't find the back of the net. Next up was Friday night at the Hawthorns, where I watched this game live on the channel. Obviously, West Brom were the better side for the first 25 minutes. They got a couple of early goals and they ended up winning the game fairly comfortably. Also, Coventry did get that late scare with the penalty, but it never really threatened after that. And I was always pretty confident West Brom were going to come through the game with 3 points. So for them, it's massive. That playoff spot is looking more and more secure every single game now. As for Coventry, they really needed a win to stay in that playoff conversation. They didn't, and other teams around them have won, so it's looking like it's going to start to slip away from them very, very soon. Next up, we had a Yorkshire clash where Huddersfield were the better side up until that red card, in my opinion. Obviously, they got that goal in shortly after the red card did follow. I think for Leeds, it would be very disappointing for them not to get all 3 points here, as they had a whole half where Huddersfield were down to 10 men to try and score against them. Obviously, did get that one goal and leveled things up. And to be fair, they were in control for a lot of the game. They just couldn't find that second goal. So they had the better possession, which you expect when a team goes down to 10 men. They're just going to look to sit in and try and hold out for a point, which is exactly what Huddersfield did. And it's what they got in the end. But Leeds should have done a lot more when they had the ball. I think they'll be very disappointed when they come away with here with a point. Next up, we were at St Andrews, where Southampton dominated for a lot of the game, but it looked as if the game was going to peter out and neither side were going to get all 3 points here. Obviously, when Birmingham went down to 10 men, it became a really hard challenge for them as they were 3-2 down at the time. They did manage to get that equaliser, and they looked like they were going to hold out, but Arabo scored in the 96th minute and won the game for Southampton. Massive 3 points for them as it keeps them within touch and distance of automatic promotion. And also, they've been losing a lot of games recently. It was good for them to get 3 points on the board, and the travelling fans would have been happy with that one. So from Birmingham's perspective, things are looking better now since the departure of Wayne Rooney, but it's not looking good in terms of getting consistency, and that is key for them, especially going into the running. Over to the King Power now, where this is the biggest shock of the weekend. Obviously, QPR, who are right down the bottom of the league, managed to get all 3 points away at the King Power. Leicester, they dominated the game, to be fair, so you can't say a lot about it. QPR just took their chances, and to be fair, with the form they're on, I could almost see it coming. In my last one, I thought Leicester would just eke out a win, but QPR, they've got something about them at the minute. They've really got themselves playing, and they're putting performance after performance back to back, and they're getting themselves away from this relegation zone, and it's really great to see, because at one point they looked destined for League One, but so they pulled themselves out of it. They're doing really well. Next up, we're at the Den, where Millwall got that early goal, and Neil Harris's side are looking very, very good. Obviously, Watford were the better side on the day, but you just let them go 1-0 up. Millwall are always going to get that goal and just sit in and hold out for 3 points, and it's exactly what they did. I think Millwall were very pleased with that result. I say the performance might have to improve for next time, but they're not going to care. 3 points gets them further and further away from that relegation zone and helps them to hopefully avoid the drop. I think Neil Harris has been a fantastic appointment so far. In his 2 matches, they're getting the maximum points against the sides he has. It's been absolutely crucial for them and their chances of survival. As for Watford, they're going to be absolutely fine mid-table. A disappointing season for them, but they can look to improve on it next season. Now, over to Carrow Road, where Norwich got that late goal against Sunderland. Josh Sargent was the scorer, and their surge up the league is looking more and more likely to turn into a playoff place, as teams like Hull and Preston both dropped points as they played against each other, and they've capitalised on that, and now they move to 1 point away from the playoffs. Absolutely vital that they've got a win today against a Sunderland side that can be very hit and miss. For Sunderland, I think the playoff is slowly slipping away from them, but you can't deny that Norwich definitely did deserve all 3 points today, and they probably should have got a couple more. But I say 3 points all that matters on a day like this, and they'll be looking forward to going into the running now in really good form. Over to Home Park now, where it really looks like Ipswich have got their mojo back, winning loads of games on the bounce at the minute. This 2024 started off really shaky for them, but they seem to have got it all going again, and they're making a play for the automatic promotion spots again as they find themselves back in it, which is absolutely vital for them. I mean, considering the calibre of teams that are in the league, and they are well and truly in with a shot, is absolutely incredible. And it just shows how good Ipswich have been this year, and it's a credit to them and their fans getting behind them all season. And I hope for them they do manage to get up back into the Premier League, which, to be fair, a club like Ipswich is where they belong. Over to Deepdale now, where this was a very even game. Neither side managing to break the deadlock, though. Preston, they needed a win here, in all fairness, because if they got that win, they'd be level on points with Hull. for Hull. I mean, like I say, both sides needed to come into this game getting a win. Hull now, their lead in the playoffs is just slipping away. Obviously, they had that really good unbeaten run, which are still on, to be fair. 6 without a loss is absolutely massive for them. But they could have done with getting all 3 points here. I didn't think they deserved it, though. Honestly, very even game. I think a draw was probably a fair result. Now, over to the New York Stadium now, where Sheffield Wednesday got that all-important goal and won this game. And it puts them within 3 points of getting themselves out of the relegation zone, which would be absolutely massive for them. Obviously, sides around them are starting to pick up more and more points, but say if they keep up this level of form that they've been on since February, I'd say, because prior to that they were really, really poor and deserve to be where they are. Rotherham, they're down in my opinion. I think Sheffield Wednesday needed to get all 3 points here, and they did. Obviously, it wasn't an easy one, but it was never going to be an easy one. No easy games in the Championship, as they say. But Sheffield Wednesday managed to get all 3 points here, and I'll definitely take that forward into the next one. Over to the Bet365 now, where Stoke City got a huge 3 points in their bid for survival. Obviously, they are still just about in the relegation zone, but they definitely deserve to win here. Despite not having as much of the ball, they definitely created more with it, and those 2 goals were just a credit to them and what they've done, over the last couple of weeks in training. And if they can stay up, it would be absolutely massive for them. As a club, I don't think they deserve to be in League One. Obviously, Middlesbrough, they've been a bit disappointing this season after what they built last season. It was always going to be tough to replicate it, but they've just been a real disappointment in my opinion. So losing to Stoke, away at Stoke's always a hard place to go. Obviously, a cold, wet Tuesday night at Stoke. It wasn't, it was a Saturday, but it's always a hard place to go. You should never be losing though to a team that is struggling like that. But onwards and upwards, as I say. On to the final game now at the Liberty Stadium, where Swansea did get a 2-1 win, a narrow win against Blackburn. Now, this game, I don't really think it has much attached to it. Obviously, Blackburn are sort of slipping towards that relegation zone, even though on the table it looked like they're very far off it. They're actually only a point away from it. So perhaps for them they could have got a result here against the Swansea side that have been a little bit up and down all season. As for Swansea, it was a fairly big 3 points, because if they hadn't won today, they would be in Blackburn's position, where you're only a point away from the relegation and you never know what's going to happen in the last few matches. But they're getting a bit of daylight between that and the relegation zone. If they can get a couple more wins, I think they should be okay.